How do you know if buying in Littleton in 2025 is either a smart move or maybe a move that might cost you thousands? Now, because in this market, you can either find a house that's going to save you thousands in the long run, or it might cost you big time. So in this video, I'm going to break down the different areas and different things that you need to know before buying in certain areas in Littleton, and what can save you a lot of money or what might cost you a lot of money in the long run. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Tyler Norris. I'm a local realtor out here in Colorado. I make videos like this weekly, just keeping you updated with the market and kind of what's going on in the housing areas in Littleton, Colorado, and Colorado in general. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and all of the notification buttons so you can stay up to date with all these videos. So let's start this video out with some of the smarter moves you can make when you're looking at buying in Littleton, Colorado. Smart buy tip number one is resale homes in well-established neighborhoods in Littleton. These can be some of the smartest buys in 2025. Now I'm talking about Old Town Littleton because you're close to downtown Littleton. I'm talking about Columbine Knolls and Columbine Hills, where you have mature trees, parks, and then also swimming pools and tennis courts and all these other amenities. Grant Ranch with also Governor's Ranch. You have planned amenities, also trails, reservoirs nearby, and then also Caryl with Littleton addresses and Roxborough because you're close to the foothills and the scenery there. Why these areas right now? Well, human sellers equal flexibility. Now, when you're in the negotiations and you're trying to buy these resale homes, you have individuals that are also relocating or downsizing and are often more open to price, repairs, and all these other things when you're in the negotiation process in buying the home. Now, lower annual carrying costs because these are older, more established neighborhoods. You're not going to have the Metro District tax like some of these other areas like in Castle Rock where the Meadows, where it has some more higher Metro tax, just giving you more taxes and tax costs. Now, proven value, you're buying into a neighborhood that has strong comps, that has the longevity that you've seen because they've been there for a long time. You have mature trees, parks, trails. These are things that people are attracted to and actually like, instead of some of these new planned communities where you just are planting new trees and you just don't have that maturity of the neighborhood just yet. And then condition without the risk of flip. Now, you're looking at houses that might need a little bit of a cosmetic update, but look for the value of the houses that might have a roof younger than 10 years because that's going to save you costs in insurances, but you updated different amenities like HVAC, furnaces, and then you just take on some of the costs of maybe giving it the cosmetic lift that fits your style. Bottom line, if you start your search in a stable tree-lined neighborhood with real estate comps, you're gonna have better negotiations, you're gonna have more flexibility, and you're just gonna find that comfort of a house that's been established and has been here for years in a neighborhood that has been here for years. Smart buy tip number two is think about lifestyle over square foot. Now, this is a different mindset because this is going to be leaning towards more people that potentially want that more lifestyle where you have walkability, you don't have to maintain your house as much, and you just have the conveniences of the lifestyle because of the location you picked versus having a bigger square footage. Now, the one downfall is you're probably going to pay a little bit more price per square foot, but there are good reasons why you would go this route and why this could be a smart buy. Now, why it works is demand and resilience. It's walkability versus, again, the square footage. If you are located close to something like downtown Littleton, where you have just a walkability convenience, people are always going to be driven to having that convenience. Now, this could be your young professionals. Could be your first new parents that just want the walkability, go to a coffee shop or go to a farmer's market with the kids in the morning, and you're thinking about houses that might have, 2 to 3 bedrooms, leaning closer to the 3-bedroom because those are usually better with resales, but you can look at more of a townhouse or a condo, and then this gives you also the other option of maybe potentially renting versus trying to sell it. Now, make sure you're up to date with all the Littleton laws when it comes to renting, but making sure this could be be a good idea when you're buying in a smaller square footage, but you have the walkability. Now, this is just the everyday convenience that people are always going to be driven to, where you have the convenience of getting to different places very quick. If it's a trail, if it's downtown Littleton, or if it's just the different stores that are all close. So this could be a smart buy, and this is why it is smart buy number 2 tip for you. Smart buy tip number 3 would be new construction. Yes, there are deals to be made in the new construction. You just have to do it smart, and you have to make sure you're looking out for the right things and negotiating the correct things. So here's what you would want to look for is first location. So Sterling Ranch, Roxborough, and Chatfield all have areas of new construction and have a lot of good perks to it, and multiple different builders throughout. So there's different builders you can take a look at and find out the one that's best fits you and what you like in a new construction build. So now the things to negotiate and think about right now, since things aren't moving as much, they are more incentivized to give you better rates. So instead of maybe paying a 6% rate, you're looking more at 3.99 is one of the ones that I've seen out there, but you can negotiate the rate. You also can talk about closing costs and price reductions. Now, price reductions, again, are going to be a little harder to negotiate, but you can do it, but you can more likely have them cover more of the closing costs and stuff like that, and different packages like maybe getting a fridge, because not all houses in new construction will have the fridge and the laundry, but you ask them for that. You can ask for blinds. There are deals to be made. Now, another thing to think about before buying in new construction is, one, you have to ask yourself, how long are we going to live here? You want to live there for longer than they're going to be developing, because when you go to resale, you do not want to be in the position where you are going and competing against all the incentives that a new construction house would have versus your house that you're just trying to sell and resale. So one thing to think about is making sure, when are they going to be closing out the community, either buying at the end of the community or buying in the community, getting the good rates, getting the things that you want, but knowing that you're going to be there for 10 to 15 years and you're going to live there longer than how long they're going to be building in that community. And this can be a really smart buy because they are very incentivized right now to get these houses to move, and they are willing to give you guys deals. So things to definitely think about. One tip for you before we get into the next thing is go to Better Business Bureau and really read about those specific builders. You can actually sometimes narrow it down to the location. Instead of just doing Richmond Homes in general, you can actually do Richmond Homes in Sterling Ranch and see how they are rated on Better Business Bureau, and then also other reviews that you can see to make sure you're getting into a good builder that's going to take care of you in the long run. So let's get into some of the red flags when you're looking at buying in Littleton in 2025. Now, these red flags aren't me telling you do not buy in these areas or steering you away from these types of homes. It's just, I would say, take a second look, do your due diligence, and making sure you feel really comfortable buying these homes. Now, the first one would be these overpriced flips. Now, in this market, it's really hard for flippers to make their money because it is more of a buyer's market. So one thing to think about, or a couple things to think about when you're looking at these flipped homes that look amazing in the pictures, is first, see how long do they have the property, right? Was it a 1-month flip, 2-month flip? All that kind of stuff. See if you can see what the older pictures look like versus what it looks like now, so you have an idea what they did. Also, another red flag with buying these flipped properties is if they don't have anything on the disclosure form that they hand over to you, that can be a red flag. It's not saying it's 100% one, but they have done, which is most likely, is torn it down to the studs. They know everything that's behind the walls and what's not behind and what is behind the walls. So they should be able to know, hey, is there foundation cracks? Was there water damage? Because we saw, water staining and all that, and vice versa, or anything along those lines. These are things that should be on your disclosure form, and if they're not, it just kind of is a red flag. So just make sure you have the proper inspector, making sure they're not cutting corners when they did the flip. Next would be the new construction companies that aren't giving you any incentives. Now, this is a kind of a big one because it's a buyer's market. They are trying to get these houses to move, and there's a ton of new construction companies giving crazy incentives incentives right now. And if this company's not giving you those incentives, I would just look other locations where you can maybe save thousands of dollars with the incentives that are giving at those new construction companies. And then last is these oversized homes in these thin demand pockets. Now, what does this mean? You're looking at the 4,000 square foot plus 5-bedroom homes that are way bigger, closer to the far edge to the foothills. If you're closer to the foothills or in the foothills, even in Littleton's area, you're going to have higher insurance. You're going to have just a thinner margin of people that want to actually can afford those areas. You're going to have higher maintenance. You're going to have higher cost of insurance. You're going to have higher utilities. It's just a lot more to take on. Now, you have a great location because you have great views and you're in the foothills. It's just, you're just gonna have a smaller pool of people that can actually afford that and are gonna wanna buy in those locations. So just make sure you're doing your due diligence before buying somewhere in the foothills that's a bigger property, because most likely that property, when you go to resell, will sit for a little longer. I'm not saying it won't sell, it's just gonna sit longer and it might take longer for you to actually sell it. Let's do a quick recap of everything we went over today. First, let's talk about the smart buys, or we'll call them the green flags, which would be looking at neighborhoods that are more established, then also looking at neighborhoods that have better walkability, and then also the new construction communities that are giving a lot of incentives. Now let's do the ones that are the red flags and the things that we're just going to look and think twice and make sure we do our due diligence on are these lipstick flips, or these quick flips of houses, or incentive-free new construction properties, and then the oversized homes that are closer to the foothills that just might have a lot more cost to them that you're not expecting, and a little bit longer on the market when you're trying to resell. So that was a lot to digest. It can be overwhelming going over some of these red flags versus green flags and in the buying process, but don't worry, it does not have to be an overwhelming process when it comes to buying in Colorado, and I'm here to help. So if you want to set up a one-on-one consultation with me, you can hit the link below where it goes to my calendar, and you can find a time that best fits you to have that 30-minute talk where we talk about everything real estate and talk about your goals. Even if you're buying in 2025, 2026, or even 2027, you can set up that call today and we can just start this conversation and making sure you have everything you need before buying your next property. Now, I will also put in my guide to suburbs south of Denver, kind of just talking about different suburbs and locations to buy, and just a really good resource for you to try to narrow down what area is best for you. I want to say thanks again for watching the video, making sure you hit that like button, subscribe, notification, all the fun buttons, so you can stay up to date with all my videos. So I'll see you in the next video.